We got fed up of being sidemen for Paul. After Brian died, that's what began to happen to us, you know. After Brian died, we collapsed. Paul took over and supposedly led us, you know. But what is leading us when we went round in circles? We broke up then. That was the disintegration, you know. The Beatles broke up. After Brian died, we made the double album. The set. It's like if you took each track off and gave it all, put all mine and all yours. It's just like I told you many times, you know, just me and a backing group, Paul and a backing group, and I enjoyed it, you know. But we broke up then. We were in Wales with Maharishi. We'd just gone down after seeing his lecture the first night, and we went down to Wales and we heard it then, you know? And then we went right off into the Maharishi thing. In Wales, a place called Bangor in Wales. No, we were just outside a lecture hall with Maharishi, and I don't know, it just sort of, I can't remember, you know, it just sort of came over. Somebody came up to us, the press were there, because we'd gone down with this strange Indian, you know, and they said, Brian's dead, and I was stunned, you know, and we all were, I suppose. And Maharishi, we went into, well, what, you know, he's dead and all that, and he was sort of saying, oh, forget it, you know, be happy, fucking idiot, you know, like parents, you know, smile. That's what Maharishi said. So, and we did, and we were along with the Maharishi trip, you know. The feeling that anybody has when somebody close to them dies, there's a sort of little hysterical sort of he and that it's not me or something in it, you know, that funny feeling when somebody dies. I don't know whether you've had it. I've had a lot of people die on me, you know. And the other feeling is, you know, what the fuck, you know, what can I do, you know? I mean, I knew that we were in trouble then. I didn't really have any misconceptions about our ability to do anything other than play music. And I was scared, you know, I thought. I think Paul had an impression, he has it now like a parent, that we should be thankful for what he did, you know. But he kept, for keeping the Beatles going, but when you look upon it objectively, he kept it going for his own sake, you know. But not for my sake did Paul struggle. But Paul made an attempt to carry on as if Brian hadn't died, you know, by saying, now boys, we're going to make a record, you know, and being the kind of person I am, I thought, well, you know, we're going to make a record, all right. So I went along, we went and made a record. And I suppose we made Pepper, I'm not sure, you know. Mm-hmm. But it was like that, you know, I mean, I think Paul had a tendency to come along and say, well, he's written his 10 songs, let's record now. And I said, well, give us a few days, and I'll knock a few off, you know, or something. I don't imagine the Mystery Tour was another where he'd set it up, you know, and then he'd worked it out with Mal, and then he came and showed me what his idea was, and this is how it went. It went around like this, the story, and he had it all, you know, I think, production, and he said, well, here's the segment, you write a little piece for that. And I thought, fucking hell, I've never made a film. What do you mean? He said, write a script. So, you know, I ran off and wrote the dream sequence for the fat woman and all the thing with the spaghetti and all that. And all that. It was like that, you know. And then George and I were sort of grumbling, you know, fucking movie, you know, well, we better do it. You know, a feeling that we owed the public or owed somebody or other that we should do these things, you know. So we made it, you know. We sometimes wrote together and sometimes didn't, but all our best work, apart from the early days, like I Want to Hold Your Hand, we wrote together and things like that. We wrote apart always, you know. Even Liverpool, One After 909 on the What's It LP, it's one I wrote when 17 or 18 in Liverpool, separately from Paul, and some of his, I don't know, The Sun Is Fading Away and things like that, were things Paul wrote those days. We always wrote separately, but we wrote together because we enjoyed it a lot sometimes, and also because they'd say, well, you're going to make an album, we'd get together and knock off a few songs, you know. Just like a job. Well, I said to Paul, I'm leaving. We were in Apple, and on the way over I knew before I went to Toronto, I told Alan I was leaving. I told Eric Clapton and Klaus that I was leaving, and I'd like to probably use them as a group, you know. I hadn't decided how to do it, to have a permanent new group or what. And then later on I thought, fuck it, I'm not going to get stuck with another set of people, you know, whoever they are. So But I announced it to myself and to the people around me on the way to Toronto a few days before, and on the plane Alan came with me. I told Alan, it's over. And then when I got back, there was a few meetings, and Alan had said, well, cool it, because there was a lot to do, business-wise, and it wouldn't have been suitable at the time, And then we were discussing something in the office with Paul, and Paul was saying something or other, like to do something, and I kept saying no to everything he said, you see. So it came to a point I had to say something. Paul saying, well, what do you mean? And so I said, I mean, the group's over, I'm leaving. He'll remember exactly, and she will. This is how I see it. Alan was saying, don't tell. He didn't want me to tell Paul even, but I couldn't help, so I told him it's out. I couldn't stop it. It came out, and Paul and Alan said they were glad that I wasn't going to announce it, that I was going to make an event out of it, But Paul and Alan both. I don't know whether Paul said don't tell anybody, but he was damn pleased that I wasn't. He said, oh well, that means nothing really happened if you're not going to say anything. So that's what happened. Well, I mean, like anybody, when you say divorce, the face goes all sorts of colours. It's like he knew really that this was the final thing, And then 6 months later he comes out with whatever, I told Ray Conley, so there's a lot of people knew I'd left, but I was a fool not to do it, Not to do what Paul did, which is use it to sell a record. Well, I wasn't angry, I was just shit, I mean, he's a good PR man, Paul. I mean, he's about the best in the world, probably. He really does a job. I wasn't angry in that way. We were all hurt that he didn't tell us what he was going to do, but I think he claims that he didn't mean that to happen, but that's bullshit. He called me in the afternoon of that day and said, I'm doing what you and Yoko were doing last year. And I said, good, because the time last year they were all looking at us as if we were strange, trying to make a life together and doing other things than being fat myths. So he rang me up on that day and said, I'm doing what you and Yoko are doing and putting out an album, and I'm leaving the group too, he said. I said, good, I was a little, feeling a little strange, because he was saying it this time, although it was a year later. And I said, good, because he was the one that wanted the Beatles most. Wherever we went, we were supposed to be not sort of like normal, whatever. We were supposed to put up with all sorts of shit from Lord Mayors and their wives and be touched and poured like Hard Day's Night only a million more times, like at the American Embassy, the British Embassy in Washington here, or wherever it was, with some bloody animal cut Ringo's hair, in the middle of. I walked out of that, swearing at all of them, I just left in the middle of it. And wherever we went on tour, like in Britain or wherever we went, there's always a few seats laid aside for cripples and people in wheelchairs like that. But it got to that, because we were famous, we were supposed to have people, sort of epileptics and, whatever they are, in our dressing room all the time, We're supposed to be sort of good, and it's just, you wanted to be alone, and you don't know what to say, I mean, because they're usually saying, I got your record, or they can't speak or something, and they just want to touch it. It's always their mother or their nurse pushing them on you. They would just say hello and go away, but there's this sort of, like they push them at you like you're Christ or something, or as if there's some aura about you which will rub off on them, and it just got to be like that. We got very sort of callous about it, It was just dreadful, I mean, you'd open up every night, instead of seeing kids there, you just see a row full of cripples on the front, It was just like that. When we were running through, the people would be lining. It seemed like just surrounded by cripples and blind people all the time. And when we'd go through corridors, they'd be all touching us. It got like that. It got horrifying.
You must have been like.
That was a glib way of saying what was going on. It was that sort of the in-joke that we were supposed to cure them. It's the kind of thing that Derek would say, because it's a cruel thing to say. I mean, we felt sorry for them like anybody would, and it was awful. But there's a kind of embarrassment when you're surrounded by sort of blind, deaf and crippled people, and there's only so much we could say. It just built up. It built up. The bigger we got, the more unreality we had to face, the more we were expected to do, until when you didn't sort of shake hands with the mayor's wife, she started abusing you and screaming or saying how dare they, and there's one of Derek's stories where we were asleep after the session, in the hotel somewhere in America, and this the mayor's wife comes and says, you know, get them up, I want to meet them, you know. And Derek's saying, I'm not going to wait. The moment she starts saying, you get them up, I'll tell the press, and it was always that, they were always threatening what they would tell the press about us, you know, the bad publicity if we didn't see their bloody daughter and with their braces on her teeth. And it was always the police chief's daughter and the Lord Mayor's, all the most obnoxious kids, because they got the most obnoxious parents, you know, we were forced to see all the time. And we had these people thrust on us, you know. And that was the most humiliating experiences for all those for me, like sitting with the governor of the Bahamas because we're making help and being insulted by these fucking jumped up middle class bitches and bastards who would be commenting on our working classness, you know, and our manners. And I was always drunk like the typical whatever it is, insulting them. You know, I couldn't take it. It hurt me, so I would go insane, swearing at them and whatever. I'd always do something, you know, that would, I couldn't take it. It was awful, you know. And all that business was awful, you know. It was a fucking humiliation. We had to, one has to completely humiliate oneself to be what the Beatles were. And that's what I resent, you know. I mean, I did it, but I didn't know, I didn't foresee that, you know, it just had to happen bit by bit, and you gradually, till this complete craziness is surrounding you, and you're doing exactly what you don't want to do with people you can't stand, the people that you hated when you were 10. And that's what I'm saying in this album. I'm saying, I remember what it's all about now, you fuckers. You know, fuck you all. That's what I'm saying, you know, fuck you all. You know, you don't get me. You asked me what music I listen to. I said, really, I'm not interested. I'm interested in concepts and philosophies. I'm not wallpaper. I mean, since I've been listening to the radio here, I like Something, or whatever it is called by Neil Young, Something Special, and Something by Elton John, you know, a song by him, and a few things I've heard, but I didn't find out who they were, you know, on FM. Some really good sound, you know, but then there's no follow through, you know. You know, there'll be a section of fantastic sound come over the radio, and then you wait for the conclusion or the concept or something to finish it off, and then nothing happens. It just goes on, you know, jam session or whatever. I don't know. But I'm interested in more things with a worldwide. I'm interested in, what's it called, you know, something that means something for everyone, not just for a few kids listening to wallpaper, you know. So I'm just as interested in poetry or whatever, or art or anything, and always have been. That's been my hang-up, you know, continually trying to be Shakespeare or whatever it is. That's what I'm doing. I'm not pissing about with, you know, I consider I'm up against them. I'm not competing myself against Elvis or multiple artists, whatever, you know. I'm in the game of all those things, you know, of concept and philosophy and ways of life and whole movements in history. I'm not interested in good guitarists, just like Van Gogh was, or any other of those fucking people. They're no more nor less than I am, or Yoko is. They're no more nor less. They were just living those days. I'm interested in producing, expressing myself like they expressed it, that will mean something to people in any country, in any language, and at any time in history. And rock just happens to be the media which I was born into. That's all. It's the one. It's like those people picked up paintbrushes and wanted to, Van Gogh probably wanted to be Renoir or whoever went before him, and I wanted to be Elvis or whatever the shit it is. But to me it's art, you know. People like me are aware of their genius, so-called, at 10, 8, 9. I always thought why has nobody discovered me? In school, can they see that I'm cleverer than anybody in this school? That the teachers are stupid too? All they had was information which I didn't need to give me? I mean, I didn't become aware of it in the Beatle thing. I got fucking lost in that, like being at high school or something. I used to say to my auntie, you've thrown my fucking poetry out, and you'll regret it when I'm famous. And she threw the bastard stuff out. I never forgave her for not treating me like a fucking genius or whatever I was when I was a child. It was obvious to me. Why didn't they put me in art school? Why didn't they train me? Why would they keep forcing me to be a fucking cowboy like the rest of them? I was different. I was always different. Why didn't anybody notice me? A couple of teachers would notice and encourage me to be something or other, to draw or to paint or to express myself. But most of the time they were trying to beat me into being a fucking dentist or a teacher. And then the fucking fans tried to beat me into being a fucking Beatle or an Engelbert Humperdinck, and the critics trying to beat me into being Paul McCartney, and all the rest of it, you know. It comes out that people like me have to say it themselves, you know, because we get fucking kicked. Nobody says it. You know, Zappa's there screaming, you know, look at me, I'm a genius, for fuck's sake, what do I have to do to prove to you son of a bitches what I can do and who I am, and don't you dare fucking criticize my work like that. You who don't know anything about it. You know, and I know what Zappa's going through. And I'm just coming out of it now, just fucking hell, I've been in school again. I've had teachers ticking me off and marking my work. Fuck you all, you know. If nobody can recognize what I am, fuck them. And Yoko too. Heroin. Okay. It just was not too much fun, you know. I never injected it, and we sniffed a little, you know, when we were in real pain. I mean, we just couldn't. People were giving us such a hard time. So much, yeah. No, but we got such a hard time from everyone, you know. And I've had so much shit thrown at me and at Yoko, you know, especially at Yoko. People just had Peter Brown in our office, and you can put this in. After we come out for 6 months, he comes down and shakes my hand and doesn't even say hello to her. You know. Now that's going on all the time, you know, and we get in so much pain that we have to do something about it, you know. And that's what happened to us, you know. We took H because of what the Beatles and their pals were doing to us. I mean, they didn't set down to do it, but people's things came out at that period, you know, and I don't forget. Heroin. Love Me Do was a better book by Michael Brown on the Beatles. Right. That was a true book, you know. He wrote How We Were, which was bastards. You can't be anything else in a situation of such pressurized. And we took it out on people like Neil, Derek and Mal. And that's why underneath their facade they resent us, but they can never show it, you know, and they won't believe it when they read it if it's in print, etc. But they took a lot of shit from us because we were in such a shitty position, you know. It was hard work and somebody had to take it. Those things are left out, you know, about what bastards we were. With, you know, I mean, big bastards. That's what the Beatles were. Yeah, you have to be a bastard to make it, man, and that's a fact. And the Beatles are the biggest bastards on earth. Like Alan's Christmas card says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will feel no evil because I'm the biggest bastard in the valley or something. Well, yeah, there's no kidding. If you make it, you're a bastard, you know. Everybody wants the image to carry on. The press round with you want to carry on because they want the free drinks and the free hooers and the fun. Everybody wants to keep on the band going. It's satirical. And we were the Caesar. Who's going to knock us when there's £1 million to be made? All the handouts, the bribery of the police, all the fucking hype, you know. Everybody wanted in, you know. Everybody. That's why some of them are still trying to cling on to this. Don't take it away from us, you know. Don't take Rome from us. Not a portable Rome. That's true. Where we all have our houses and our cars and our lovers and our wives and office girls and parties and drink and drugs. Don't take it from us.